Hi viewers, welcome back to our channel. So in the last class we have started the new series of geography and I have told you it is a 45 days course and it is complete free of course, and we have started class 6th NCERT in the last class, right? Today I am going to cover the remaining topic that I was left in the last class. So before going to this topic, let us discuss what are the various topics that we have discussed in the last class. We have discussed about the universe, the definition of the universe and all. Later we have discussed about the galaxies, and also we have also discussed about the sun, the solar system and also the planets. Okay, so along with this we have also discussed about the constellations. Okay, we have and with that we have discussed about pole star. Right, we know that pole star is a star which that is present in the north direction, right? Next we have discussed about various planets that are present along with the satellites, right? I have already told you the inner planets has used to have either 0, 1 or 2 satellites, not more than that, whereas the outer planets from Jupiter to Neptune, they used to have the satellites which are many in number. For example, you know that Jupiter is having the total 79 satellites, whereas Saturn is having 82 satellites, which is having the largest number of satellites. And the largest satellite in the solar system is Ganymede, which is in the Jupiter. So these are the various topics that we have discussed in the last class. Today in this class I am going to discuss you about the topics of comets. You see, I am going to discuss about the topic of comets. I am going to discuss you about asteroids, meteoroids. Okay, next, internal structure of the sun. Internal structure of sun, I am going to discuss you about internal structure of the sun and various missions that was launched by Isro and also NASA to these planets. So these are the topics I am going to cover in this today's video, and in the next video I am going to discuss you about black hole and also previous year's questions related to universe and solar system from the prelims point of view. So these are the topics I am going to cover in the next video. So I hope I am going to cover each and every topics in a very detailed manner. Okay, I am also going to cover current affairs also while saying about each and every topic. I am relating these topics with the current affairs also. So if you like these videos, if you think our videos are better, tell to your friends. It will be very useful for them. Tell them this is completely free of cost for the 45 days course. I am going to cover it very comprehensively, including the current affairs part. Okay, and I am also going to cover the previous year's question papers of the prelims along with the topics. Okay, if I completed the solar system, I am going to ask the questions related to the solar system. What are the previous year's questions that are present? I am going to cover that also. So if you like our channel, please like, share and subscribe. If you have any doubts, comment on the comment box, so I am going to reply it with your all your doubts. Okay, so see, let's coming to this today's session. Okay, first look after this today's session. In this today's session I am going to start with the topic called comet. Okay, if you look after this, here the picture, right? If you look after the picture which was present here, this is the shape of the comet that is present. You can see at first it is like the back side it was like a tail shape, and first it is like a head shape. So that is the reason the comet is used to have the tail. So why it is having the tail, and what is this comet is made up of? See, this comet is made up of ice and also dust particles. It is made up of ice and also dust particles. And what this comet do? This comet is used to revolve around the sun. This comet revolve around the sun. It is also having an orbit. Okay, see, this comet, ఈ comet ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో, it is made up of ice dust particles తో ఇది ఉంటుంది. సో వాట్ దిస్ కామెట్ డు, ఇది కూడా సన్ చుట్టూ రివాల్వ్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇట్ ఈస్ హ్యావింగ్ ఇట్స్ పర్టికులర్ ఆర్బిట్, బట్ దిస్ ఆర్బిట్ ఈస్ వెరీ elongated. Some of the comets orbits are very elongated, that means it is very large, that it may take sometimes thousands of years. It may take sometimes thousands of years to complete one revolution. సో కామెట్ యొక్క ఆర్బిటల్ పాత్ ఎంత ఉంటుంది అంటే, ఇట్ ఈస్ టేకింగ్ it is so long that it is sometimes used to take thousands of years to complete one revolution. Okay, so as this comet is made up of ice, dust and particles, okay, as this comet is made up of ice, dust and particles, what happens is that when it comes nearer to the sun, this comet uses to grow large. Why? Because the ice and the dust particles that is present in the comets use it to melt because of the sun's temperature. So whenever it is used to melt, these gases or the ice dust particles use it to go back, and in that they use it to store in the tail. So that is the reason it looks like a tail in the back side. Okay, what happens? The ice and the dust particles use it to melt when it comes nearer to the sun, and it goes backside and it appears like a tail. Okay, so that is the reason when the comet come nearer to the sun, okay, when the comet come nearer to the sun, it grows largely. Okay, it is used to showing the bigger in size, and it can be only visible when it goes nearer to the sun. Okay, so this is related to the comet. Okay, so this once again I am revising it. See, these comets, these are it is made up of ice and also dust particles. When it come nearer to the sun, what happens is that it is used to melt. When it melt and all the gases goes to the tail. When the gases goes to the tail, what happens is that this comet it looks like a tail when it come near to the sun, and it looks like its size has grown and all. Okay, and these comets, what they used to do, they used to revolve around the sun in a fixed orbit. These revolving orbit is elongated path, so that is the reason sometimes it may take thousands of years to complete one revolution. So this is related to comet. Okay, and the next important thing is related to asteroid. Okay, the next part is asteroid. See here, you can see here, this is a rocky like substance. Asteroids are called rocky like substance, and the another name of asteroids are planetoids. What is another name of asteroids? They are called planetoids. Okay, asteroids are another name of the asteroids are called planetoid. So what are asteroids are called? They are called as planetoids. Okay, why they are called as planetoids? Because there is a belief that these asteroids, they try to form like a planet, but unfortunately they are unable to form like a planet. For example, if you look after this, you have asteroid belt in between the Mars and Jupiter. What happens is that, as per the scientists and all, they believe that these asteroids are nothing but the part of planets. Okay, they are unable to form like a planet. Why? Because the size of the Jupiter here is very large. So because of this, it is unable to form like a planet and all. Okay. Why? Because they are unable to form like a planet. Why? Because there is a Jupiter nearby. Okay, and this Jupiter has prevented it from the formation because of the disruptive gravitational force. Okay, because of the disruptive gravitational force, what happens is that the asteroids here which was there, it was also nothing but a planet, but unfortunately it was not formed as a planet. Why? Because because of this Jupiter's disruptive gravitational force, as it is very giant planet, it is unable to form it, and that is the reason we used to have the asteroid belt between Mars and the Jupiter. And there is also that is the reason there is an asteroid belt between the Mars and the Jupiter. These asteroids also use it to look like a planet only, as it's just like an stars. Okay, and I am going to tell you there are more than 5,000 asteroids that is present. Okay, as per the scientists, okay, they are very spherical and also elongated shape, and also very irregular shape also sometimes. Okay, and two major asteroids called Trojan asteroids. Okay, what is it is called? Trojan asteroids. Two major asteroids which are called as Trojan asteroids was found in two clouds moving in the orbit of Jupiter. one moving ahead of it and the other moving beside it. Okay, so these are the two asteroids which are called as Trojan asteroids, used to move in the clouds of the Jupiter. So one is moving ahead of it and the other one is moving behind it. So I am telling again and again, see here, asteroid ante enti ante it is just like the rock type material, okay, which is used to revolve around the sun. There is an asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Jupiter ki Mars ki madhya oka asteroid belt undi. Idi enduku form ayindi ante, as per the scientist view, these asteroids are tend to form like a planet, but unfortunately due to Jupiter's gravitational pull, okay, due to Jupiter's disruptive gravitational pull, as it is a giant planet, these asteroids are unable to form like a planet and they form like an asteroid belt between Mars and also the Jupiter. Okay, these asteroids used to range in different sizes, irregular shapes, they are used to have the elongated path and all. Okay, and these asteroids are not the major asteroids, are Trojan asteroids. ఈ Trojan asteroids అనేవి జూపిటర్ దగ్గర జూపిటర్ యొక్క క్లౌడ్లో ఉంటున్నాయి. ఇవి ఒకదాని వెనకాల ఒకటి తిరుగుతూ ఉంటూ కనిపిస్తాయి అన్నమాట. సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద రిలేటెడ్ టు ద ఆస్ట్రాయిడ్స్. ఓకే, అండ్ ద నెక్స్ట్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఈస్ మెటీరాయిడ్. Okay, the next important thing is meteoroid. A rock often has an asteroid fragment that is bigger than the grain of sand and orbits the sun. The term meteoroid refers to object before it enters the atmosphere. Before it enters the atmosphere. అంటే ఏంటి అంటే, you see here, these meteoroids are nothing but they are also formed from the asteroids. Okay, but unfortunately what happens is that these meteoroids, due to the gravitational pull of the earth, what happens is that due to Earth's gravity and the gravitational pull of the earth, what happens is that these meteoroids, they turn to enter into the Earth's atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere daka enter ayedanni meteoroid anni చెప్పడం జరుగుతుంది. Okay, so next one, meteor. So there is a quite difference between meteoroid and meteor. ఒక్కసారి దీన్ని కరెక్ట్గా చూడండి, ప్లీజ్ చెక్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ వెరీ కేర్ఫుల్లీ. యు సీ తోక మనం ఒక యూ కెన్ సీ చుక్కలు రాలిపోతున్నాయి అంటారు. ఓకే, సో ఏదన్నా ఒక కోరిక కోరుకోండి, అది వాటిని చూస్తే కోరిక నెరవేరుతుంది అని చెప్పి చెప్తూ ఉంటారు. బట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ద స్టార్ దట్ ఈస్ ఫాలింగ్, యాక్చువల్లీ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎ మీటియోర్ దట్ ఈస్ ఫాలింగ్. ఓకే, మీటియోర్ ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ ద షూటింగ్ స్టార్. ఓకే, షూటింగ్ స్టార్ అని కూడా అంటారు మీటియోర్ని. రీజన్ ఏంటి అంటే, మనకు కనిపించేటప్పుడు ఏదో ఒక చుక్క కింద పడిపోతున్నట్టు మనకు కనిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది సడన్గా. సో వాట్ వీ ఫీల్ లైక్, యు సీ ద స్టార్స్ ఆర్ డ్రాపింగ్, వీ యూస్ టు థింక్ లైక్ దట్, బట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్. వెన్ ఎవర్ ద మీటియోర్ ఎంటర్స్ ఇన్ టు ద ఎర్త్స్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్, ఇట్స్ బికాస్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎర్త్స్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ వాట్ హ్యాపన్స్ ఇట్స్ దట్ దిస్ రాక్ యూజ్డ్ టు బర్న్. ఈ రాక్ ఏమైపోద్దంటే ఇట్ స్టార్టెడ్ టు బర్న్. సో ఎప్పుడైతే ఇది బర్న్ అవడం స్టార్ట్ అవుతుందో అది మనకి ఒక స్ట్రీక్ ఆఫ్ లైట్ కింద మనకి కనిపిస్తుంది. ఓకే, దిస్ మీటియోర్ కెన్ అరైవ్ ఇన్ ఎర్త్స్ విసినిటీ యాజ్ లోన్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ ఆర్ ఇన్ క్లస్టర్స్. సో క్లస్టర్స్ అంటే గ్రూప్ ఆఫ్ మీటియోర్స్ కింద కూడా మనకి కనిపిస్తుంది. ఒకేసారి మనకి ఇట్లా మొత్తం స్టార్స్ అన్ని కింద పడిపోతున్నట్టు మనం అనుకుంటూ ఉంటాం, బట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్, ఇట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ మీటియోర్ షవర్. ఓకే, so it may be a single meteor shower or a group of meteor showers. I am telling you again here, meteoroids is from the asteroid belt itself. Okay, when they started due to Earth's gravitation, when they started to come to the nearest atmosphere, it enters into the Earth's atmosphere. After entering the atmosphere, meteoroids are called as meteors. Meteors is called as shooting stars. You can see the shooting stars in the night sky, right? Sometimes we use it to look at the night sky. You can see that some stars are falling. We think that the stars are falling. It is not the stars are falling. It is a meteoroid which after entering in the Earth's atmosphere, it is used to, what happens is that it is used to burn because of Earth's atmosphere, and it's just look like a light of the star that is falling. Sometimes it may be a single one, or sometimes to be a group of stars that are falling. So that is called as meteor shower. Okay, and next one, you can see this fireball. Okay, so this is meteor that burns as it travels throughout atmosphere, leaving behind very bright streak of light. This rather rare phenomena is a result of meteoroid that is larger or denser than usual. Sometimes it is even visible during the day. What happens is that fireballs, we can see sometimes the fireballs at least in the daytime also, when the meteoroid is so big and when it comes to the atmosphere, when it turns into the meteor, after turning into the meteor, when it is burning and it is very huge, it just look like a fireball that is coming and falling on the earth. Okay, ఇప్పుడు మీకు అర్థమవుతుందా? మెటీరాయిడ్ అనేది ఫస్ట్ ఆస్ట్రాయిడ్ నుంచి అట్మాస్ఫియర్లోకి వస్తుంది. అట్మాస్ఫియర్లోకి వచ్చాక అది షూటింగ్ స్టార్ లాగా మనకి కనిపిస్తుంది, బర్న్ అయిపోతుంది, బర్న్ అవుతూ షూటింగ్ స్టార్ లాగా కనిపిస్తుంది. అయితే కొన్ని మిటియోర్స్ ఏమవుతాయంటే అవి చాలా పెద్దగా ఉండడం వల్ల ఇట్స్ లుక్స్ లైక్ ఏ ఫైర్ బాల్ లాగా కనిపిస్తుంది, ఏదో ఒక పెద్ద నిప్పురవ్వ. అంటే మనం అనుకుంటూ ఉంటాం ఒక సన్ నుంచి యూసీ తుఫాన్ వస్తుంది, లైక్ సమ్ హాలీవుడ్ మూవీస్లో కూడా చూపిస్తూ ఉంటారు. ఓకే, సోలార్ రెయిన్స్ లాగా వచ్చి నిప్పుల వర్షం కురిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది. సో దట్ ఈస్ నథింగ్ బట్ ఏ ఫైర్ బాల్స్ లాగా వచ్చి దే యూజ్ ఇట్ టు లుక్ లైక్ ఏ ఫైర్ బాల్స్. ఓకే, సో దీస్ మెటీరియాయిడ్స్ విచ్ టర్న్స్ ఇంటూ మీటియర్స్ లుక్స్ లైక్ ఏ ఫైర్ బాల్ వెన్ దే ఆర్ వెరీ లార్జ్. ఓకే, ఇది మార్నింగ్ టైంలో కూడా మనకు కనిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది. నెక్స్ట్ వన్ వచ్చేసరికి మెటీరాయిడ్ అంటే ఏంటంటే ఇది కంప్లీట్గా బర్న్ అవ్వదు. బర్న్ అవ్వకుండా ఏమవుతుంది అంటే గ్రౌండ్ మీద ఫాల్ అయిపోతుంది, అంటే మన ల్యాండ్ ఎర్త్ మీద ఆటోమేటిక్గా ఫాల్ అయిపోతుంది. సో దిట్ ఈస్ మెటీరియాయిడ్. ఫైర్ బాల్లో మొత్తం ఫైర్ అయిపోతుంది, సో ఎర్త్ వరకు రాదు. కానీ మెటీరియాయిడ్ ఏదైతే కంప్లీట్గా ఫైర్ అవ్వకుండా మన గ్రౌండ్ లెవెల్ టచ్ అవుతుందో దాన్ని మెటీరియాయిడ్ అంటారు. సో ఇక్కడ ఈ 4 మీకు కామెట్ అండ్ ఆస్ట్రాయిడ్స్లో మీకు ఎప్పుడు కన్ఫ్యూజన్ రాదు, బట్ ఈ వీటిలో చాలా కన్ఫ్యూజన్ ఉంటుంది. సో డోంట్ కన్ఫ్యూజ్. మెటియోర్ ఈ రెండింటికి డిఫరెన్స్ ఉంది. మెటీరాయిడ్ అంటే ఒక రాడ్ షేప్డ్ రాకీ సబ్స్టాన్స్, ఓకే, రాకీ ఆబ్జెక్ట్ జస్ట్ లైక్ అన్ ఆస్ట్రాయిడ్ అని గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. మెటియోర్ అంటే షూటింగ్ స్టార్. ఓకే, షూటింగ్ స్టార్ అది ఫాల్ అయిపోయినప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ అది ఫైర్ బాల్ లాగా బాగా పెద్దగా ఉన్నప్పుడు ఫైర్ బాల్ లాగా ఉంటుంది. ఆ ఫైర్ బాల్ మోస్ట్లీ అట్మాస్ఫియర్లోనే బర్న్ అయిపోతుంది. బట్ అన్ఫార్చునేట్లీ ఒకవేళ ఆ ఫైర్ బాల్ కనుక కంప్లీట్గా బర్న్ అవ్వకుండా ఎర్త్ని కనుక హిట్ అయితే దాన్ని మెటీరాయిడ్ అంటారు. ఓకే, సో దట్ ఈస్ కాల్డ్ మెటీరాయిడ్. ఓకే, సో దిస్ ఈజ్ రిలేటెడ్ టు ద టాపిక్స్. అండ్ యూ సీ మెటీరాయిడ్ ఎప్పుడైతే ఎర్త్ని హిట్ అవుతుందో అక్కడ మెటీరాయిడ్ క్రాటర్స్ అనేవి ఫామ్ అవుతాయి. ఓకే, దాన్నే మెటీరాయిడ్ క్రాటర్స్ అంటారు. యాక్చువల్గా యు సీ కొన్ని ఆల్మోస్ట్ ఒక మిలియన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇయర్స్ బ్యాక్ వీ ఆల్ నో దట్ దెర్ ఆర్ డైనోసార్స్, రైట్? సో దట్ we believe actually we already many of the archaeologists has found after the excavation that still we have dinosaurs. And recently also there is a news that one of the dinosaur fossil was found in the Thar desert in India. Okay, one of the dinosaur fossil was found in Thar desert in India. That is also a recent news that we has found. So as per some of the scientists view, there are meteor craters that are present everywhere on the earth because when these meteors hit the earth, and some of the craters are also present in India. So those craters which are present in India are these 3 places. The first one is Lunar Lake, which is also a Ramsar site. I am going to discuss you about this Ramsar site after while covering the environment and ecology. Okay, so Lunar Lake, which is called as Ramsar site in Buldana district of Maharashtra. So this is one of the meteoroid crater that was formed. Okay, this lake was formed due to meteoroid crater in India. And you see Dala crater that is 14 kilometers in diameter in Shivapuri district of Madhya Pradesh. And also Ramgarh crater is a potential meteoroid crater in a Kota plateau in Rajasthan. So Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra are the 3 states where these meteor craters are found. Among them Lunar Lake is one of the thing. Dala crater and also Ramgarh crater are various places where these meteor craters are formed due to hit of this meteoroid. Okay, what see here, Chicxulub crater, right? Chicxulub crater, okay, it is Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula. It was caused by the meteor impact and that is believed to have wiped out of dinosaurs. That is mass extinction at the end of Cretaceous period. So I have already told you now, dinosaurs extinct కూడా ఈ meteors వల్లే జరిగింది అన్న దానికి వన్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఏంటి అంటే ఈ చిక్స్కుక్లప్ క్రాటర్ అనేది మెక్సికోలో ఉంది. అది ఫామ్ అయింది. ఆ ఫామ్ అయినప్పుడు యాజ్ పర్ ద సైంటిస్ట్ బిలీవ్ 65 మిలియన్ ఇయర్స్ ఎగో ఎప్పుడైతే ఈ క్రాటర్స్ అనేవి ఎర్త్ని మనకి ఢీకొన్నాయో ఆ టైంలో కంప్లీట్గా డైనోసార్స్ అనేవి మాస్ ఎక్స్టింట్ అయినాయి అనేది మనం బిలీవ్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఓకే, సో దీస్ ఆర్ ద వేరియస్ క్రాటర్స్ దట్ ఆర్ ఫౌండ్ డ్యూరింగ్ ద meteoroid attack on the earth. Okay, so these are related to various topics I have covered today. So next important topic that I am going to cover today is internal structure of the earth. The next important topic is internal structure of the earth. See the next important topic, that is internal structure of the earth. Okay, so I have covered all these topics related to the meteoroid craters and all. Next important topic here I am going to cover is internal structure of the earth. Okay, so if you look after this, this is sorry, I am really sorry, I am going to cover about internal structure of the sun, not earth. It is the internal structure of the sun. Okay, I am very sorry. Okay, see now, if you look after this internal structure of the sun, when I am talking about internal structure, we have three major portions in the internal structure of the sun. The first one is core, the second one is radiative zone, and the third one is convection zone. If you look after this, core is the innermost zone that is present, and radiative zone is the zone which you can see here. It is a zone which was present between core and convection zone, and the convection zone is the outermost zone that is present. So this is internal structure of the sun. Now let us discuss about these three, that is core, radiative zone and convection zone in detail. You see here in this core, the gases of hydrogen and helium are present. So these gases of both hydrogen and helium, okay, these gases of both hydrogen and also helium, hydrogen and helium, they use it to convert into nuclear fission. Here what they used to convert, they used to convert into nuclear fission. Okay, so this is the major objective of the core. Okay, if you look after this, so these are the various layers of the sun. You can see here, this is internal part which is called as core, and the next important zone it is called as radiative zone, and the next important convection zone. You can see here the radiative zone is present in the outside the middle of the both core and also convection zone, and you can also see here the various temperatures that were present in the these three zones. Core is having the highest maximum number of temperature, right? And later you can also see the outer layers that are present. You can see three some more layers, that is the photosphere is one of the layer which is present. It is visible from there. The next important layer is the chromosphere, and also the last one is transition zone, and the final one is corona. And you can also see here some black spots called as sunspots. Okay, and you are also having coronal hole, flare, and also prominence. So let us discuss all these in a detail now. Okay, if you look after this, I am going to discuss everything, that is core, radiative zone, photosphere, chromosphere, corona, flares and all. Everything I am going to discuss in a very detailed manner. If you look after this core, it is the centralmost region of the sun. Okay, what is this? This core is the centralmost region of the sun. It is the centralmost region of the sun. Okay, it is not and this region was where hydrogen turns into helium. I have already told you where the hydrogen has turned into helium. So this is the place where hydrogen was turned into helium, and here the nuclear fission reaction occurs. I have already told you that nuclear fission reaction. Okay, this nuclear fission reaction, what happens in this nuclear fission? I have told you this hydrogen is converting into helium. See, in sun I have there is 71% of hydrogen and 26.5% of helium is there. Almost 98% of the sun's atmosphere is covered with hydrogen and helium only, as hydrogen is having only the single atom. So in order, as it is not stable, so it is converted into this helium. When it is converted into the helium, there is a large amount of heat is produced. So that is the reason the core area where the sun is present, you can see here the core area where the sun is present, it is having the maximum temperature. Okay, it is having the maximum temperature. Okay, you can see it is reaching more than 15 million degrees Celsius. Okay, it is said to be the hottest region of the sun. When we move toward the outside layers, the density and temperature decreases, and at the center of the core it is about 150 gram per cubic centimeters. So I have told you in the previous class itself, when discussing about the topic of sun, that related to this nuclear fission, because of this nuclear fission, when hydrogen is converted into helium, there is a lot of heat and temperature that is produced. So that is the reason it is taken place in the layer called core in the sun. So because of this, the temperature here reaches maximum of 15 million degrees Celsius, and it is said to be the hottest region of the sun. Okay, and coming to that of the radiative zone, it is between the core and the convection zone. By means of radiative diffusion and thermal conduction, the energy in this layer transports outside, which travels in the form of electromagnetic radiation by photons. So we have already seen that there is an electromagnetic radiations that are present in the sun, and these electromagnetic radiations are due to the radiative diffusion in the radiative zone. The name itself says radiative zone, which is because of these radiative zones they use it to release and transport the electromagnetic radiations in the form of photons. Okay, bouncing from particle to particle, what happens is that these photons transfers energy. Okay, the next important here, the density of the layer reduced from 20 gram per cubic meters to 0.2 gram per cubic meters, and the last outermost layer is convection layer of this. It is known as convection zone. Okay, it is used for transfer of the energy. The temperature is about 2 million degrees Celsius. It is very low enough so that the heavier ions like carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron and calcium to hold some of their electrons. So what happens is that as the temperature is minimum enough to hold the heavier atoms like carbon, oxygen and nitrogen, and this is used to transfer the energy. This zone is mainly used for transferring the energy. So these are the various three layers that are present in the innermost part of the earth. Okay, innermost part of the earth. See, the first one is core, which is the inner layer. Here the nuclear fission is taken place. The second one is radiative zone. Here in the form of photons, radiative magnetism is also formed here. And the last zone is convection zone, where the energy is passed here. The temperature here is only 2 million, whereas in the case of core it is almost 5 million degrees Celsius. Okay, and coming to that of the next important layers, that is outer layers, photosphere, chromosphere and everything. So let's see the each and every layer. Photosphere, sunspot, chromosphere, corona and solar flares and solar winds. Don't confuse this corona with recent corona and all. Okay, so this is corona which can be seen in the sun, okay, during the total lunar eclipse or total solar eclipse. If you look after the sun and all, you can see the what happens is that at the end of the sun you can see a round like an object. Okay, so that object is called the corona. Okay, if you first go through the photosphere. Okay, photosphere has a thickness of about 500 kilometers, and all the visible light from the sun come from this layer. With temperature coming down to approximately 5500 degrees Celsius, it is said to be the coolest part of the sun, because with the increase in the height the temperature drops. The phenomena of sunspots happens in the photosphere. What happens is that the photosphere, the thickness of the photosphere is 500 kilometers. Okay, you can see the thickness of the photosphere is 500 kilometers. So because of this, what happens in this photosphere, what happens is that you have to look after this. Okay, with the temperature coming down to approximately 5500 degrees Celsius, what happens, the temperature, when the temperature started to come down to 5500 degrees Celsius, what happens is that the sun becomes the coolest part. There these solar sunspots were occurred. Okay, these sunspots were occurred. And one thing I have to tell you about this photosphere and all, it is a shining surface. It is also called as shining surface, and it appears like a disc. That is a thing you have to be noted. Okay, it is a shining surface. right? It is a shining surface and it is used to appear like a disk. Okay, if you look after these the photosphere that you can see here, it is just like a shining surface. All the light is to come from the here itself, and in the photosphere itself you can see the sunspots. Why? Because as the temperature started to drop down, these sunspots are used to occur. Okay, what happens when the temperature used to drop down, these sunspots used to occur. So these sunspots is a place where in the sun used to have the temperature, less temperature. Okay, so because of these sunspots, what happens is that there is a slight difference in the electromagnetic change in the electromagnetic field and changes in the sun. So that is the reason sometimes the communication in our earth, especially radio signals communications, are used to affect because of this sunspot. Okay, and I have to tell you related to these sunspots, this sunspot used to appear and disappear for every 11 years. Okay, this is also one of the major point that you have to be noted. Sunspots appear and disappear after every 11 years. So this 11-year cycle is called sunspot cycle. Okay, this 11-year cycle is called sunspot cycle. Okay, so see here, I have told you related to the sunspots, it is the dark spots on the surface of the sun. This happens because this region become darker and cooler than the surrounding areas due to intense magnetic field. Generally the lifetimes of sunspots are very less, sometimes it may be few days also. And you can see in this sunspot you have a umbra which is named as the center of the sunspot, and penumbra also known as lighter region of the surrounding. See what happens if the sunspots are not there. What happens is that it may affect the Earth's climate because the sun become 1% cooler in the absence of the sunspot. Okay, so I will show you here. So this is related to one of the picture related to the sunspot. Okay, here the magnetic field is very strong. It is used to have the strong magnetic field and it is used to usually appears in pairs. Okay, what happens is that whenever these sunspots are not there, automatically the you see the sun started to become 1% cooler. So this is going to affect the Earth's climate. Okay, so that is the reason these sunspots are very important, and moreoverly these sunspots are going to change for every 11 years. Okay, that is the reason it is called as a sunspot cycle. Okay, and see next one, important, chromosphere. Okay, it is visible as dim red ring and it lies just above the photosphere itself. Only during the solar eclipse, when the photosphere is hidden, visible light from the chromosphere can be seen. With the increase in height, its temperature is also increasing. Okay, this chromosphere is a dim red light. Okay, it is a very dim red light which can be seen during the eclipse time, during the solar eclipse time. Then when the photosphere is completely hidden, at the time you can see the chromosphere. Okay, here also with the increase in the temperature, the what happens is that with the height the temperature is also increase in the chromosphere. And next, corona, it is a layer, the outermost layer, okay, lies above the chromosphere. During the total solar eclipse, it can be seen as a white glowing corona. Up to 2 million degrees Celsius, the temperature of the corona spreads, and reason for it is still unknown. Coronal mass ejection, solar winds and solar flares are the phenomena related to corona. So you see here, coronal mass ejection, solar winds and solar flares. If you look after these solar winds and solar flares, recently in the US also, because of these solar flares, what happens is that their communication was disrupted. Okay, due to coronal mass ejection, what happens is that these solar flares, you see solar flares is completely different from coronal mass ejection. You see what happens due to this, because of this solar flares, recently in US there is a disruption in the radio communication was there, the GPS, you see GPS disruption is also used to shut down and all. So everything happens. Okay, so what is this coronal mass ejection? You see here, you can see here, what is this coronal mass ejection? A huge bubble of gas erupting from the sun over the course of several hours. What happens is that solar flare is quite different from CME, that is coronal mass ejection. Previously, that is 10 years back, like that, scientists used to believe that the solar flame and coronal mass ejection are same. Later they have found out that solar flare is quite different from the coronal mass ejection. You see this coronal mass ejection, what happens is that a bubble like gas, it is used to erupt from the sun. It is used to erupt for several hours. Okay, and this can be, there can be sometimes 2 to 3 cmes per day. These eruptions are sometimes they used to have the 2 to 3 cmes per day, but solar flares are quite different compared to that of the cmes. Why? Because these solar flares, it consists of an explosion in the surface of the sun. You see, this coronal mass ejection means what happens is that the gas that is erupting, okay, the gas that is erupting coming out of the sun like a bubble, okay, whereas the solar flare, what happens is that in the surface of the sun itself there is an eruption. Okay, in the surface of the sun itself there is an eruption. Okay, mostly these flares use it to occurs near the sunspots. Okay, what happens is that these flares use it to occurs near the sunspots. Okay, if you look after these solar flares, when magnetic energy is suddenly released, immediate flashy and increased brightness occurs, which is known as solar flares. This was occurred in the surface of the sun. Whereas CMEs, coronal mass ejections, were occurred outside of the sun. That means where bubble like gas use it to blow up, just like if you see about hydrogen bombs and all, what happens, the smoke like things coming out of the bomb, right? So in the same way, from the you see, just like a blast was occurred on the sun, think that, for example, I am saying, imagine that the blast like something occurred on the sun, automatically a gas like bubble comes out of the sun, which is called as CME. So CME is quite different from solar flares. What happens in the solar flares is that these solar flares, they are completely depending upon the magnetic field which is used to affect on near the sunspots, as the sunspots is having the maximum magnetic field. So because of this immediate sudden release of this magnetic field, what happens, the surface of the sun started to explode, and those comes as a solar phase. So what is the major reason for the solar flares? Means magnetic irregularities. Okay, so anywhere between 10 to 20 million degrees Celsius, these are magnetic storms that heat up. Okay, so CME is quite different from solar flares. I got it right. So these are the various diagrams. You can see this bubble like structure which was out there, and solar flare is it in the surface of the sun, and this is related to the sunspot. Okay, see, related to the solar flares, there is a news recently related to the solar flares. Let's look after this news. This news is related to the sun has emitted an X class. Very important. You see, there are different types of classes in the solar flares. I am going to explain what are those classes. This X class solar flare was disrupted the radio communications over the part of US and also Pacific Ocean. According to NASA, what happens is that this flare is classified as X 1.0 flare. Okay, what is this solar flare about? I have already told you, it is a tremendous explosion on the surface of the sun because of the irregulars in the magnetic field or twisted magnetic field. Okay, mostly they are seen in the bright areas of the sun, and can be few minutes to few hours. Okay, what happens in during this during when these solar flares comes out, what happens is that the heat the material many millions of degrees and produce a burst of radiation across electromagnetic spectrum, including from radio waves to X-rays and gamma rays. They can affect radio communication, power grids, navigation and signals, and endanger astronauts and spacecrafts too. Because of these solar flares, what happens is that they use it to heat the material which with the millions of degrees of the temperature, and they use it to burst the radiation out. Because of these radiations, the waves that are present, they use it to turn into X-rays and also gamma rays. So because of this, what happens is that radio communication, GPS networks, power grids, navigation signals, and astronauts and the spacecrafts are also used to have a threat. Okay, so I have told you categories related to the solar flares. Recently there is a category of X, the category solar flares was bursted. That was news, and because of this some in US and also in the Pacific Ocean radio communication was disrupted. That was the news, right? So what are the various categories related to the solar waves? Depending upon the wavelength, they have different types of solar waves, and so depending upon the brightness also, the solar flares were you see divided. The first one is X class flares. Okay, they are very big major events that can trigger radio blackouts around the whole world and long lasting radiation storms in the upper atmosphere. What happens in the Earth's upper atmosphere, what happens is that radio blackouts is used to done. That means whole radio signals are going to gone out if these type of flares were erupted, and this is very big in nature. Okay, how big it was, that means complete radio blackouts can be seen. And M class flares, which is called as medium class sized. Okay, this is brief related to radio blackouts and affect X polar region, especially the icy regions that are present. Okay, and C class flares, compared to X and M, C class flares are small with few noticeable consequences on the Earth. The smallest ones are A class flares near background levels, followed by other flares. Okay, so these are the various solar categories of the solar flares, especially big size, medium size and small size. Big size, complete blackout in the whole world can be occurred, and also radiation in the upper atmosphere may also be occurred. Medium class, there will be some blackouts of the radio signals and minor radiations will be occurred, whereas in the C class it is a very small and noticeable consequences can be seen on the Earth. Okay, and see, these solar flares is different from CMEs. I have already told, related to coronal mass ejections, right? So these coronal mass ejections, I have told you, they are just like a bubbles like thing that is used to burst outside of the sun's atmosphere, and it may be from minutes to several hours. Mostly every day we used to have 2 to 3 CMEs. Okay, and they are not at all associated with the solar flares. Scientists thought at first that these solar flares as CMEs are same, but later they have found that both are different. Okay, and the next important thing is solar winds. You can see here, this is related to the solar winds. Okay, this is related to the solar winds. What happens is that the flow of energized charged particles at a very high speed is known as solar winds. At the temperature equal to 1 million degrees Celsius, the speed of solar wind is as high as 900 kilometers per second. It is composed of plasma and generally contains protons, electrons and alpha particles. What happens is that these solar winds occurs whenever the temperature is equal to 1 million degrees Celsius. So then these solar winds will occur automatically. Because of these solar winds, what happens is that the plasma is used to come out of the solar winds. Plasma is nothing but the another state of the matter, right? So the plasma is to come out of the solar winds, and it also contains the protons, electrons and also some of the alpha particles were also present in the solar winds. You can see here, because of the solar winds, what happens in the Earth and all. Okay, and this is related to internal structure of the Earth. I have completed related to internal structure of the Earth. So if you look after these, I have completed related to each and every topic here. I have told about photosphere. In the photosphere we used to have the sunspots. I have discussed about the sunspots. These sunspots, they used to have the more magnetic field and all. So because of this, without this sunspot, what happens to the sun? The sun becomes 1% cooler, and whenever the sun becomes 1% cooler, it is going to you see Earth's climate, it is going to affect the Earth's climate. ఇక్కడ ఏంటి అంటే సన్ స్పాట్స్ అనేవి ఒక డార్క్ స్పాట్స్ అనమాట. ఈ సన్ స్పాట్స్ అనేవి లేకపోతే వాట్ హ్యాపెన్స్ ఈజ్ దట్ ఎర్త్ అనేది 1% కూల్ అయిపోతుంది. ఈ ఎర్త్ ఎప్పుడైతే 1% కూల్ అయిపోతుందో దానివల్ల ఐఎమ్ రియలీ సారీ, అది కాదు, సన్ అనేది 1% కూల్ అయిపోతుంది. ఎప్పుడైతే సన్ అనేది 1% కూల్ అయిపోతుందో ఆటోమేటిక్గా ఎర్త్ యొక్క క్లైమేట్ అనేది ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది. సో సన్ స్పాట్స్ ఆర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్, అండ్ దెర్ ఈస్ ఏ హ్యూజ్ అమౌంట్ ఆఫ్ మ్యాగ్నెటిక్ ఫీల్డ్ దట్ ఈస్ ప్రెజెంట్ ఇన్ ద సన్ స్పాట్. ఓకే, ఎప్పుడైతే సన్ స్పాట్లో ఇర్రెగ్యులారిటీస్ అనేవి వస్తాయో, ఓకే, ఎప్పుడైతే సన్ స్పాట్స్లో మనకి ఇర్రెగ్యులారిటీస్ అనేవి వస్తాయో అప్పుడు ఫామ్ అయ్యేది ఏంటి అంటే సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్స్. సన్ స్పాట్స్ దగ్గర సడన్ ఆర్ ఇమీడియట్ ఇర్రెగ్యులారిటీస్, ట్విస్టెడ్ మ్యాగ్నెటిజం అనేది జరుగుతుందో అప్పుడు సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్స్ అనేవి మనకు వస్తాయి. జనరల్గా రీసెంట్గా ఒక సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్ అనేది రావడం వల్ల యూఎస్లో అండ్ పసిఫిక్ ఓషన్ ఉన్న ఏరియాస్లో రేడియో కమ్యూనికేషన్స్ అనేవి దెబ్బతిన్నాయి. సో దట్ ఈస్ ద రీజన్ ఐఎమ్ స్ట్రెస్సింగ్ దిస్ పాయింట్. ఓకే, సో సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్స్ గురించి నేను అందుకే అంత స్ట్రెస్ చేస్తున్నాను. అండ్ రిమెంబర్ సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్స్ ఈజ్ కంప్లీట్లీ డిఫరెంట్ ఫ్రమ్ సిఎంఈస్. ఓకే, సిఎంఈస్తో పోలిస్తే సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్స్ అనేవి కంప్లీట్లీ డిఫరెంట్. ప్రీవియస్లీ సైంటిస్టులు సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్స్ అండ్ సిఎంఈస్ రెండు ఒకటే అనుకున్నారు, కానీ సోలార్ ఫ్లేర్స్ అనేవి సర్ఫేస్ ఆఫ్ ద సన్ మీద జరుగుతుంది. సిఎంఈస్ వచ్చేసరికి అది ఒక గ్యాస్ టైప్ బబుల్ అనేది బర్స్ట్ అవుతే దాన్ని సిఎంఈ అంటాం జరుగుతుంది. ఓకే, అండ్ ఇఫ్ యూ లుక్ ఆఫ్టర్ దిస్ కరోనా వచ్చేసరికి మనకి అవుటర్ మోస్ట్ లేయర్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎర్త్లో కనిపిస్తుంది. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఎస్పెషల్లీ ఇట్ కెన్ బి సీన్ డ్యూరింగ్ ద total solar eclipse. Okay, last one, solar winds, due to whenever the temperature has has reached the 1 million. So what happens, these solar winds are formed with the speed of 900 kilometers per hour. Mostly these solar winds, you see, they used to form every day, but what happens is that because of these solar winds they used to have the protons, electrons, and also the plasma is also formed. Okay, so this is related to the internal structure of the earth. Okay, and the next, lunar space missions by Isro. Lunar space missions by Isro. You see, lunar means the moon space missions by Isro. So I have told you I am going to cover some names of the space missions. So before going in detail into this, I am going to cover in detail space missions in science and technology. See, whatever I am going to you see, whatever that is present in the UPSC syllabus, mostly I am going to cover each and every topic of all the subjects, so don't worry about that. So here what happens is just this lunar space missions by Isro, the complete detail of this I am going to cover in science and technology videos. So first learn what is this in the static part of geography. First, lunar space missions by Isro, there are 3 space missions which were started by Isro. That is Chandrayaan 1, 2 and 3. We know that Chandrayaan 2 was failed actually, but whereas Chandrayaan 1 and Chandrayaan 3 were in a success. 1 and 3 are already successful. And future solar space mission is Aditya L1. Aditya L1 is a future solar space mission which is going to launch by the Isro. As expected, they are going to launch in this August, but unfortunately they are expected to launch in June or July, but unfortunately it was postponed to August. So we are seeing when this Aditya L1 is going to launch. When if we launch this Aditya L1, it is going to read about the sun's temperature and sun's the structure and the corona CMEs around the sun and all, everything that we are going to learn from the Aditya L1. And one of the mission that the Isro is planning, it is Shukrayaan. Shukrayaan is a mission which was planning by the Isro itself. They are going to launch this Shukrayaan mission in order to know about, study about the planet of Venus. Okay, so in order to study about the planet of Venus, along with this there are some other you see missions which were started by NASA also. So if you once note down everything for Mercury, for the Mercury planet, Mariner is the you see mission name which was started by the NASA. Okay, for Venus we have Shukrayaan. Okay, which was planned by India. Okay, and also US is planned to do Pioneer mission on the Venus. So Mercury we has Mariner, Venus we have from India, we have Shukrayaan, and also Pioneer from the USA, that is NASA. And for the Mars we have Mangalyaan, which is called as MOM. Okay, which for the Mars we have Mangalyaan, which is known as MOM, Mars Orbiter mission. Actually USSR also tried to do some machines on the Mars, but unfortunately USSR was failed, and also NASA was also failed while trying to reach it to Mars. Okay, so the only Isro, up to now only Isro was successful while reaching this MOM on the Mars. Okay, and coming to that of the Jupiter, in Jupiter also NASA's Pioneer mission was going on. And next one, in the Saturn, NASA's Pioneer 2 mission was going on. Okay, NASA's Pioneer 2 mission was going on. In the Uranus we have Voyager mission. In the Uranus we have Voyager mission which was going on. Okay, by the NASA itself. In the Neptune also we have Voyager 2 mission which was started by the NASA, and the most important, the last one, is on the Pluto we have New Horizon. Okay, New Horizon mission, which is a very successful mission launched by NASA. So these are the various missions launched by Isro and the NASA to different planets. I am telling, on the lunar space mission by Isro we have 3 Chandrayaan 1, 2 and 3. 1 is successful and 3 is successful, and Aditya L1 is going to launch by the Isro, and also Shukrayaan is also going to launch by the Isro in order to study the planet Venus. So Mercury we have Mariner, which is launched by NASA. Venus, Shukrayaan. Mars, it is Mangalyaan, which was launched by India itself, that is Isro. And after Jupiter we have Pioneer, and also the Saturn also we have Pioneer. Uranus and Neptune we have Voyagers 1 and 2, whereas in the case of Pluto we have New Horizon. So mostly remember the major things you have to remember, especially related to India, is related to Chandrayaan 3, Aditya L1 and also Shukrayaan missions are very important for your exam point of view. Along with that, you also look after this New Horizon by the Pluto. It will be very helpful for you too. And you can see here, recently Russia has also launched a lunar machine. Okay, Russia has also launched a lunar machine, just like how India has launched the Chandrayaan 3. Russia has also launched the lunar machine, and there is a possibility that both the machines, both the missions, what happens is that both the missions they use it to launch on the same date on the moon. Okay, up to now is everything okay? So up to now I have cleared most of the topics in the solar system, and the next topic, black hole, I am going to cover it with the class 11th. Okay, along with the class 11th I will cover the black hole. Why? Because black hole is also very important topic related to solar system and also the universe. So I think the solar system and universe chapter mostly I covered in a very comprehensive way. I think everyone liked it. If you like it, please share, subscribe and like it, and also along with that, if you have any doubts, please comment it on the comment box. Okay, and we are also planning to give you one mains question every day. So if you want to write the answer, you can send it to our email ID. Okay, so this is related to the complete chapter of solar system and the universe of class 6th NCERT. If you look after this class 6th NCERT, you used to have 4 to 5 pages, but I have give you complete coverage of this class 6th NCERT. I am telling you again and again, you no need to look after any other books. Whatever the lesson I have told you in the past 2 classes, in the first video and the second video, write the notes completely. Other than this information, there is some other extra information related to Chandrayaan 1 and 2 and 3 and also Aditya L1 and also Shukrayaan. This I am going to cover it in the current affairs part or science and technology part. Okay, so here one of the previous year's question which was covered in the preliminary examinations, which was given in 2022. If you see here, if a major solar storm or solar flare reaches the earth, I have already discussed you about solar flare. It is what happens to the solar flare? It occurs in the surface of the sun due to magnetic field. Disruptions in the magnetic field or due to twisted magnetic field, and recently US has some disruptions in its radio communication. So this is the news we have already seen. So here the question was already asked. Actually these US were recently it was happened in July 2023. In July 2023 recently, due to the solar flare, some radio communications were disrupted in the US. So but this question was asked in July 2022 paper itself. You see what happens to the solar flares when reaches the earth. What are the possible effects? One, GPS navigation system could fail. Yes, we know that GPS navigation system and navigation system are used to fail. Power grids are also used to fail, and tsunamis could occur at the equatorial regions. No, it is completely wrong. How can we say that tsunamis occurs? The tsunamis occurs due to endogenic forces that are present. Okay, why they are occurring? Due to endogenic forces that are present. There is nothing with the solar flares and related to the tsunamis and all. So option 2 is completely wrong. So one thing you have to remember, while preparing for the UPSC, while writing, keep pointing out the answers, first try to eliminate the options, then it will be very easy for you. You see, 2 is completely wrong. Select the correct answer they have given. So option 2 is completely wrong, and the option 2 you have you have A and B, you have second option. So A and B is not the answers. So the answers may be 1, 3, 4, 6 and 7, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So here 2 is also wrong. So the answer is C. Sometimes what happens is that it is very easy for us to identify the answer in the UPSC prelims, but unfortunately due to some tension and we are unable to do. When you try to write maximum number of tests, then it will be very helpful for you. Okay, so it will be very helpful for you. So that is the reason everybody used to say try to write number of mock tests. You have to know how to eliminate the options first. After eliminate the options, there may be 1 or 2 options left. After reading the whole question, you can easily identify the answer. Okay, see the third one. Power grids could be damaged. Yes, the power grids could be damaged. Intense auroras could occur over much of the earth. You see here the fourth one, intense auroras. Here auroras reflects that the sky is used to change the colors because of these solar flares, mostly in the polar regions you can see. And forest fire could take place over much of the planet. No, there is nothing to do with the forest fires. Forest fires are completely different, right? Recently in the Hawaii we have a forest fire, right? And people is also almost 50 people were dying, and many wildlife was flora and fauna was also damaged. Okay, so we will discuss about this forest fire while discussing about environment and ecology classes. Okay, so 5 is also completely wrong. Orbits of the satellites could be disturbed. Yes, the orbits of the satellites could be disturbed. We have already seen about the astronauts or space things will be disturbed and all. Shortwave radio communications of the aircraft flying over the polar regions can be interrupted. Yes, this is also correct. So the answer is C, 1, 3, 4, 6 and 7. And these two, tsunamis and forest fires, doesn't have any relation with the solar flares. So this is, I think, after completion of these 2 videos, you can write one answer from the UPSC prelims from the previous year's papers. So that is the reason I am taking each and every concept by looking after from the previous year's papers, and I am giving you the detailed explanation of everything. So how easy for you, and you also try to learn the elimination techniques. I will also tell you very easy elimination techniques. I have told you 2 is completely wrong. Here in these 4 options, there are 3 options, we have 2. So these 3 options can be eliminated. So C is the only answer. Okay, so this is about today's class. I think you all enjoyed this class. If you enjoyed this class, please share it to your friends. Please like, subscribe and comment. Okay, and in the next class we are going to see the next chapter of this class 6th NCERT, and related to the black holes. I will cover these black holes in the class 11th NCERT. Why? Because this class 11th NCERT, the first chapter is also related to the solar system. How the sun is formed, how the earth is formed, or how the moon was formed. So at the time I am going to explain you how the black holes were also formed. So it will be easy for you to remember then. And at the time, after completion of the class 7th NCERT, I will give you the previous year's questions related to the solar system. Okay. So I think everyone enjoyed the class. Let's see in the next video. Until then, bye bye, take care, keep learning.